Warren Moon is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the only African American quarterback to be inducted into this exclusive fraternity. His career has shaped the careers of all that have followed in his footsteps, giving many the opportunity to play the beloved position. But to know the significance of Warren Moon's career, one must start at the beginning. Racism is one of the fundamental problems of humanity. It started hundreds of years ago in the form of slavery, and its side effects are still experienced today. Great men and women like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks have fought for African American rights, but the problems to society are often felt in the sports world. African Americans were not allowed to play professional baseball until a man by the name of Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. Though Jackie Robinson surely deserves a lot of credit for his accomplishments, four African American athletes broke the color barrier 1 year prior in professional football. These four men were Bill Willis, Marion Motley, Kenny Washington, and Willie Strode. Jim Brandt, a former teammate of Marion Motley, was a halfback for the Pittsburgh Steelers from 1952 to 1954. When asked if there was any prominent racism during his time in the NFL, Jim Brandt said,
"If you had any treatment of difference, was it actually was amongst players, and not openly as much as quietly. It didn't have anything to do with him. Care less about him."
These first professional black athletes pioneered the path for black athletes to play any position in any sport. As the league's size and popularity increased, the position of quarterback became increasingly prominent, and black athletes were told that they could not play the quarterback position. There were a few exceptions to the black quarterback rule, such as Joe Gilliam, who was benched due to the threats on his life. Tales like this were common during that era of sports, a problem unheard of during Jim Brandt's career. But as the quarterback position became increasingly popular and important, the issue of race took center stage. Many black players were forced to switch positions in order to land a job in the NFL. No matter who it was, black quarterbacks always faced the most criticism. That was the way it was, until one man, much like Martin Luther King Jr., had a dream. That man was Warren Moon. Warren Moon faced challenges of all kinds during his childhood, including becoming the man of the house at the age of 7 due to his father's untimely death. He also faced several challenges during his high school football career, from being told that he couldn't play quarterback to threats on his life. These were the events that molded Warren Moon into the man that he is. Despite a great college career at the University of Washington, Warren Moon was not considered to be one of the top prospects in the upcoming NFL draft. They claimed that Moon wasn't smart enough to play quarterback in the NFL. But this critique was not about Moon himself. It was about the color of his skin. In the NFL, there had only been one recent exception to the rule that black people couldn't play quarterback. His name was Doug Williams. Unfortunately, Warren Moon was subject to the rule. Moon was forced to take his services north of the border to play quarterback and signed with the Edmonton Eskimos in the Canadian Football League. Moon spent 6 seasons with the Eskimos, leading Edmonton to 5 straight Grey Cup championships. Moon's 6-year CFL career was so exceptional that it turned many eyes in the NFL. In 1983, Moon became the most sought-after unrestricted free agent in NFL history, and signed with the Houston Oilers for $6 million. The first 2 seasons, the team did not do well. Much of the blame fell onto Warren Moon, who was expected to win immediately. Although Moon had experienced hardships all throughout his career as a football player, both college and professional, this time it hit a bit closer to home because now he had a family to take care of. But Moon would not stay down for long. He rebounded the next season in 1987, and the Houston Oilers became instant contenders.
For the Oilers, everything is falling into place.
His success won over the fan base as the crowds began chanting his name, a drastic turnaround from the boos that had plagued him for years. Although the offense experienced a lot of success, the team was plagued with bad defenses that prevented them from winning a Super Bowl. This created tension which culminated in defensive coordinator Bud Ryan striking offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride on live television. The confrontation led to the team's biggest stars being shipped off to other teams. Moon himself was traded to the Minnesota Vikings, a city and a team that was eager to have him. But what Moon had accomplished as a Houston Oiler was undeniable. Over the course of 10 seasons in Houston, Moon threw for over 33,000 passing yards and amassed nearly 200 touchdown passes. Stats only surpassed by future Hall of Fame Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino during that era. Moon's time with the Oilers solidified him as one of the most prolific passers in the history of the NFL, but his story was far from over. Moon joined a team in Minnesota that only needed one more piece of the puzzle to become instant contenders. and Moon provided the perfect solution to the problem. He had some of the best statistical seasons of his career in Minnesota, throwing for 2 consecutive 4,000-yard passing seasons and tying a career-high 33 touchdown passes. Moon's favorite target was future Hall of Famer Chris Carter. The two players set records together, throwing for a league record 122 receptions in consecutive seasons. But after just 3 short years, Moon left the organization and signed with a city that had once shunned him. In 1997, Warren Moon signed with the Seattle Seahawks. The team and fan base welcomed him with open arms as a way of correcting the mistake that the fans at the University of Washington had made when they had first criticized him. Moon's stay in Seattle was short and was followed by a brief stint on the Kansas City Chiefs before its retirement following the 2000 NFL season. Warren Moon's career was over, but his greatest accomplishment was yet to come. In 2006, just 5 short years after his retirement, in his first year of eligibility, Moon was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Down and cried. It just seemed like everything that I had been through from the time I started playing the game just kind of came out of me. I also thought of Joe Gilliam. I thought of James Harris. I thought of Marlon Briscoe and reasons why maybe they could have been in that same position if they were given the opportunity. So I'm not a real emotional guy all the time, but I tell you what, it came pouring out of me.
It was a crowning moment of a memorable career, but it was not the effect that his career had on those around him. It was the impact that it had on those that followed him.
Well, there's a lot of people think black quarterbacks are not as smart, that we can't carry out game plans, that we'll crack under pressure. And he'd say, I'm going to prove that that's not true. And he did. Now, you don't even hear people say quarterback's black anymore. It's no big deal.
In 2011, Cam Newton made Warren Moon his advisor. But Cam Newton didn't have to go to Canada to prove his worth. Instead, he was drafted number 1 overall by the Carolina Panthers.
I'm really proud that I was able to play the game at a high level, that guys are getting these chances to be drafted high and be believed in and not looked at by the color of their skin.
As always, Warren Moon said it the best. A lot has been said about me being the first African-American quarterback into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's a subject that I'm very uncomfortable about sometimes, only because I've always wanted to be judged as just a quarterback. But because I am the first, and because significance does come with that, I accept that. I accept the fact that I am first. All of us did what we had to do to make the game a little bit better for the guys coming after us. I only played this game not just for myself, not just for my teammates, but I always had that extra burden when I went on that field, that I had a responsibility to play the game for my people. But you know what? I carried that burden proudly. As I looked at young people all along my route as a professional football player, they always told me, Warren, you got to represent. Well, I'm standing here to say that I hope I did represent while I played in the National Football League. Warren Moon did represent, opening the door and ushering in a whole new generation of quarterbacks, including Michael Vick, Cam Newton, and Teddy Bridgewater. But is the issue of black quarterbacks truly over? According to John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, it is. But Doug Williams, a fellow brother-in-arms of Warren Moon, claims that it isn't. The question always arises, do you think we've made it to where we don't need to talk about black quarterbacks? So basically, we have not gotten there. But not only in sports. The real world carries over into the football world. Once we get over it in society, it'll be easy on the football field.
It's a long road when you're on your own, and it hurts when they tear your dreams apart. And every new town just seems to bring you down, trying to find peace of mind can break your heart. It's a real war right outside your front door, I tell ya. Out where they'll kill ya, you could use a friend. It's a long